Hey, what's up everyone? Welcome back to Babylon Talmud. Today we're studying Daf Hey of Masechta of the very fascinating Masechta of Sheqalim. Today, as I have a guest not with me, you will not be seeing and most likely not be hearing this guest. This guest is not in my house. He's on his basketball court, playing his game. Good luck. Well, the daf begins with the continuation of the brothers and their animals and their estate and how they divide these inyanim up. The good thing is that there aren't as many switcheroos over here. It's more straight reading, at least at the beginning. Let's go weiter. So Reb Chia Amar Reb Yirmiyah Ba'i. Right, exactly. So in Yerushalmi, it doesn't mean that Reb Chia said the name of Reb Yirmiyah. It means Reb Chia said in the name of Reb Yirmiyah the following question. Okay, if it's like that there's that meme, you know. Okay, forget it. Let's go weiter. V'lama leis nan amrin paimin shein chayov bazeh vazeh upaimin shein ptur mizeh umizeh. Okay, so in our Mishnah, there were basically two options: legabe, meiser behema, and kolbon. Right, and we said that in situations where you're going to be chayiv and meiser behema, you're going to be pater, meaning you have two brothers, and they inherited an estate. And we said based on how they kind of work out the estate and the business dealings between them, either they will be chayiv in meiser behema and potter from the kolbon, or they'll be chayiv in the kolbon and potter from meiser behema. Now, frek the Gemara, v'lama leisnan amrin paimim shein chayiv bazeh vazeh ufaimim shein pturim mizeh mizeh. How come we can't say that there are also cases where they'll be chayiv from both and be potter from both? Hey Chavida, what would that case be? So I think you can skip the next two lines, which is pretty sweet. I like skipping lines. Chalku nechasim. So if they divided up the, I said nechasim? Yeah, nechasim, right, not nesachim, nechasim. So if they divided up the estate, the property, but they left the animals intact. So what do you guys think? So they divided up the estate. So in that case, it belongs to each one individually, in which case they're going to be chayiv for the kolbon. I mean, they're paying their own shekels, and they're going to be chayiv the kolbon as well. And since they left the animals intact, so the animals are owned by the state, so they'll be chayiv in meiser behema. They're only going to be pater for meiser behema if it's jointly owned. So they'll be chayiv for both. Chalku behema v'lo chalku as nechasim. But if they divided up the animals, so now they're jointly owned by partners, so it'll be pater for meiser behema. And if you left the property intact, and the shekel that you're going to be paying is going to be coming from the property, well, then it's basically like the father is paying it for the sons, in which case it's going to be pater from a kolbon, so you'll be pater from meiser behema and pater from a kolbon. So p'tur mizeh umizeh. Fine. Omar Reb Mana, says Reb Mana, Hadadat Omar b'shlo haisa behema rov. Okay, so when we say that if you left the animals intact and you divided up the property, so you'll be chayiv in a kolbon and also chayiv in meiser behema, that is only if b'shelo haisa behema rov, if the animals were not the majority. However, avalim haisa behema rov, if the majority of the estate was the animals, and the animals they left intact, well then heinen ikar nechasim, that's going to be the main property, the main inheritance, and the property is going to go based on the animals, and the animals were left intact, so we view it as though the property was left intact, and you're going to be pater from the kolbon. Reb Avin Amar Reb Shimi Ba'i. So Reb Avin Amar Reb Shimi asked, Mipnei shasisan kadam echad eitzel meiser behema ad poto min kolbon. So frek the Gemara, right? The Mishnah had said back in the Mishnah that in a situation where they did not divide up the estate, so they left everything intact. Yes, exactly. So you make them like an Adam Echad by Meiser Behema, in which case they're going to be Chayev in Meiser Behema. But we're saying, however, they're going to be Potter from the Kolbon because the shekel is being paid from the estate, and it's like the father's paying it. But Reb Ovin, and then Reb Shimi asks, why should we assume? Why should it be any different than just like somebody who is paying for somebody else, in which he still has to pay a kolbon, right? There was machlokas. I think there was machlokas between Tanakam and Reb Meir about if somebody pays for his friend, does he have to only pay one kolbon or two kolbon? But even if you go like the Tanakama, that you only have to pay one kolbon, but you should still have to pay a basic kolbon. How come we're saying that if it comes from the estate, you're mamish potter? So Omer le lo shanyahi, to which Reb so Reb Oven responds. So it's not Reb Shimi, it's Reb Shammai, right? So I can't remember who's responding. Reb Oven, Omer, Reb Shammai. Oh, so I guess Reb Shammai responds to Reb Oven. Lo shanyahi, but isn't this case different? Shehu nosein sela achas shlema. Period. Because in this case, it's like the father is paying for the children, and because the father is paying for his children, so then they don't need to pay a kolbon. So the shaila was that if you have two people who come together to pay the kolbon with like one coin, so then that they come together to pay the kolbon with one coin, so they pay the shekel with one selah. So you have Reuven and Shimon who are paying one selah together for the shekels. So then they would still have to pay a kolbon. So why should these two brothers be any different? Which the Gemara answers it is different because in this case it's not two people paying the shekel together. It's the father's estate paying for the two kids, and that's why they're going to be potter. All right, sounds good to me. So. Me'ata afilu cholku v'chazuv nishtatu chayavin b'maiser behemu ufturim min hakalbon v'taninan chayavin b'kalbon ufturim min maiser behemu. Let's read that again. So frak the Gemara, me'ata afilu cholku v'chazuv nishtatu. Even if you have the brothers that divided up the estate and then became partners again, chayavin b'maiser behema ufturim min hakalbon. Why don't we say that it's like when they divided up and now they come back together? It's like it goes back to how it was originally, where it was like the father's estate, in which case they should be chayav in meiser be'eman, potter from the kolbon. V'tanin chayavim b'kolbon, uftur min meiser be'eman. Yet we say in our Mishnah that when they divide up the estate and then come back together, they're going to be chayav to pay the kolbon because it's considered like they own the estate. And they're going to be potter from meiser be'eman because they jointly own the animals. So Rabba b'shem Abba bar Rav Huna, he says, look, just because they're brothers doesn't make a difference, right? Two brothers that divide up the estate and then come together again in partnerships is no different than two brother-in-laws making a partnership together, i.e. people who aren't blood relatives. It makes no difference. The point is that they're coming together in a partnership, and that's why they're going to be chayiv in the kolbon and potter from the meiser behema. Where do these kolbons go? Meir Omer the Sheqalim. So Meir says we treat the kolbon just as we treat the shekel, and as we learned yesterday that according to Meir the kolbon is also midoraisa. So Reb Lazar Omer l'nedava, that they go to the Keitz Mizbeach fund when there's no other korbanos on the Mizbeach, so to the funds that would pay to buy extra korbanos to always keep the Mizbeach busy. Reb Shimon Chazuri Omer Rikua Zav V'tzipa Leves Kodesh HaKodashim, says Reb Shimon Chazuri that they use the money to pay for gold plating to sort of cover the Kodesh HaKodashim. Benazai Omer Shulchanon Oyinot Lenosan. It says Benazai that Taka, the money changers, would take it as their fee, because apparently outside of Jerusalem the money changers would be the one to like collect the machatzis shekels and go around doing that, so they would take that as their fee. V'yeshom L'hotzaz Derachim. Some say that the money changers would use that to pay for their travel expenses to get to Jerusalem. Hajanolach Perik Be'echad Ba'adar. Okay, we'll come back to you. Be'echad Ba'adar Perik. Well, we're one Perik into Masechta Sheqalim. I think that there are 8 of them. Alright, I guess been interesting enough so far in some ways. Alrighty, next Perik. Says the Mishnah B'tzarfin Sheqalim L'darkonis Pnei Masui Haderech. Okay. So the Mishnah says that, Nebuch, this fellow who was schlepping all the Sheqalim to Yerushalayim, so that was taka a lot of, that's very heavy. So what he would do is he would basically merge them into more expensive coins. So instead of taking lots of shekels, right? Because remember, outside of Jerusalem, so they would have these money changers who would collect all of the money in these places and schlep them to Jerusalem. So if you bring shekels, which is like a smaller denomination, so that you have a lot of shekels to take with you. But if you use darkonos, which is 4 shekels in 1 darkon, so then you take 25% of the coins. So that's more convenient. So mitzarfin shekalim darkonos mipnei maser derech. So you're allowed to merge the shekels into darkonos so that it makes it more manageable to schlep. Now, in the Beis Hamikdash, apparently in the Beis Hamikdash, there were 13 chests. There were 13 shofaros. Now, we've learned about these shofaros in the context, I believe, of these like bird offerings, right? That we say, for example, if you have a zav, zava, maybe also mitzora, right? Yoledes. People have to bring these birds. So you could just put some money in these chests, and then you can assume that the Kohanim are going to offer it for you by the end of the day, right? Because they make sure to empty them out by the end of the day. So apparently there were 13 of these chests. 2 of them were for the shekels. Now, 1 chest was for the new shekels, and 1 chest was for the old shekels. So what this means is that basically people who chap darain, people who got their shekels to Jerusalem on time. Now, on time is relative. That's either during Adar or really, as we learned on the first daf, that there were 3 times when they would take out money from the lishka. And the way that this would work would be that they would initially, if you had your money, you would put it in this chest, the chest for the taklin chadatim, right, the chest for the new coins. Now, then shortly before Pesach, shortly before Shavuos, shortly before Sukkot, although no, I think that it was slightly different. So basically, one second. So before Pesach, basically what they would do is, so they would take all of the coins from the chest, as well as any other coins that came into Jerusalem from different money changers and stuff. They would take all the coins and put it in a special lishka, in a special office that was for this purpose. And then from there, they would take out the coins, and they would use that for the korbanos, and they would do that again, Shavuos time and Sukkot time. Now, any coins that came in, that's exactly it. Then, now, still, any coins that came into Jerusalem during that time, if you didn't manage to get your coin to Jerusalem by Pesach, but you got it there before Shavuos, so you would put it still in the chest that said taklin chadatin, new coins. And you would do that up until Sukkot, and so even though you really should get it there before Pesach, as long as you get it there before Sukkot, which is when they're going to be doing the 3rd collection, you still put it in the chest for the new coins. And then before the 3 collections, they would take all the coins, put it in this lishka, into this office, and then they would take the coins from the lishka. It's called a trumas lishka, the donation from this office, and that's what they would use to pay for the communal offerings. Now, what if you didn't chaparain? What if you didn't get your coin, your shekel dartin by Sukkot, and Sukkot was the final Trumas Halishka, so you didn't manage to get it on time for that year. So you put it in the chest for the old coins, for the old coins. That's what these 2 chests were. So there's the new coins and the old coins. The new coins were basically if you got there before Sukkot. For the old coins, it's if you got there after Sukkot. So kshem shayu shofaros b'mikdash. So just like there were these chests for collecting the machzos hashekel in the Temple Mount. So kacha yu shofaros b'medina. So also throughout, all the communities, every community had these chests that you could donate your machzos hashekel into those chests, and then I guess it makes the job of the collector easier. Now, what if you have a city and they send their coins with a messenger? They take all their coins, they give it to a messenger, and the messenger is going to take it to Jerusalem for them. But there was a highway robbery. Pashit, the messenger got robbed, or somehow they got lost. So im nitruma truma. So if the trumas halishka was already done in the Beis Hamikdash at the time that the messenger got robbed or the coins got lost, they had already done the Trumas Halishka, I assume for Pesach, any one of them. So then the thing is that the Trumas Halishka, when they take these are communal funds in the Trumas Halishka. They're to represent all of the Yidden. And therefore they represent all of the Yidden whether they have contributed their Sheqalim already or not. This money is still considered, right? It's to buy communal offerings to represent all of the Yidden. And therefore, if they already separated the Truma from the Lishka at the time that the coins got stolen, well, they were basically already included in that initial Truma. So technically speaking, you're not responsible anymore. You don't owe the Beis HaMikdash anything because you were already included, even though your shekels didn't arrive yet. So Nishbarin la Gizbarin. So all they have to do is swear to the treasury at the temple that this is what in fact happened, that they got stolen or lost. Ve'imlav Nishbarin levnei ha'ir. However, if the coins get stolen or lost before the lishka, the Trumas Halishka happened, before the coins were taken out and to be used for the communal offerings, well, at that point the collection was still going on. Their coins never made it to Jerusalem, so they were not included in the collection. So, and by the time that they did the Truma, these people weren't, their coins that they had set aside would already got lost. So the messenger swears to the townspeople that this is what in fact happened, that they got lost or stolen or whatever it is, and then the people of the city have to basically separate their machzis shekel a second time, which is kind of annoying for them, but as I get this. Nimtzu o shechzirum aganovim, but if they then, after they already separated the shekels for a second time, they then found the original ones, or the thieves felt bad and they gave them back, elu ve'elu shkalim ve'ein od len l'shana haba. So now both of them are treated like shekels. It's not like they have credit for next year. Rather, both of them are treated like shekels. V'yasu also margolios. Question, says the Gemara. The Gemara has a question. How come you just use darkonim, right? Meaning, how come you use dafka? Right? We said that if you don't have that you're allowed to combine the shekels into darkonim, which is 4 shekels per darkon. So what were we saying? Why not go a step further? Why not just bring a pearl, which is more expensive, that's just worth all of it? Let's say, I don't know, buy a really expensive pearl and just bring that. That'll be pretty easy to bring. So v'yasu also margolios. Why don't you just make it into a pearl? So shematazil margolios v'nimtza ekdish mafsid. So the Gemara answers you can't do that, because what if the price of pearls goes down, right? And then the hektish is gonna lose out. Meaning, if you buy a pearl that's worth, I don't know, maybe they collected, $1,000 in machzis shekels, and so you buy $1,000 pearl. What if the pearl value goes down? Now you don't have $1,000 anymore, and hektish is going to lose out. Like we learn in a Mishnah, Taman Dartin, v'chulan niftin b'kesef u'v'shava kesef, that in general you can, if you need to transfer the value of something, you can transfer it onto objects or onto money. Chutz mishkalim, but not shekels. Ve'ein podim b'kelim, right, that you cannot redeem shekels onto vessels. V'amar b'shmuel bar Rav Yitzchak shemiyazilu akelim, because we're concerned that what if the value of these vessels goes down, v'nimtza hektish mafsid, and in the end the hektish is going to lose out. Ufacha, also here by the shkalim, nami shematazah margolios v'nimtza hektish mafsid, we're concerned that the pearls might decrease in value, and hektish is going to lose out. Masnisa betaklin chadatan ava betaklin atikin lo bida. The Gemara says that when the Mishnah says that just like in the Beis HaMikdash there were these chests for collecting the machzis shekel, also on in the communities there were also these chests for collecting the machzis shekel. So the Gemara points out that in communities, however, they only had the new shekel chests for collecting the shekels up until Sukkot. However, if you were tardy and you didn't donate your shekel before Sukkot, and now you have what's considered the taklin atikin, these old shekels, well, there was no collection in the communities for that. You would have to schlep it to Jerusalem and put it in the chest in Jerusalem. Vitani Kain, and we also have a brisa that teaches us Atikin Bamikdash v'in Atikin Bamedina, that the chests for the old coins were in the Beis Hamikdash. They were not in the communities outside of the Beis Hamikdash or Jerusalem. Masnisin b'shomer chinam aval b'shomer sacher lo beda. Interesting. So when the Mishnah talks about the messenger who got robbed or the coins got lost, and we said that he swears and then he's off the hook, that is by a shomer chinam, a guard who is not being paid for his services. And therefore the halacha is that if you have a shomer chinam, a watchman, somebody who's guarding something for you and you're not paying him, so then if something happens, if it gets lost or stolen, so then he swears that that's in fact what happened, and then he's off the hook. But if he's a shomer sacher, even if it gets lost or stolen, he still has to pay for it. The only exception being if it's an onus, if it was mamish something that it was completely beyond his control. So if it's a shomer sacher, we're saying that he can't just swear and get out of it. So if he's being a paid messenger, he can't just swear and get out of it. Amr Abba says, Vafilu Tamar b'shomer sacher. You can even say that it is a paid watchman. Nignevu belistim mizuyan. You could say that he got robbed with armed thieves, which is an ones. Avdu kimi shetava svinos bayam. And when it got lost, you could say that it's talking about that his boat got lost his boat sunk at sea. Another example of something where there was nothing you could do about it. And even a shomer sacher, a paid watchman, would be chayiv in that case. Would be pater in that case. Fine. Amr Yusti Reb Simon Asir Commander Amr Tormin ala Govui Vala Osud Ligabos. When our Mishnah says that if the Trumas Halishka was already separated at the time that the coins got lost, so then we say that he just swears to the treasurers that that's in fact what happened, and then the townspeople do not need to pay a second time, since when the Trumas Halishka happens, you separate these coins for everybody who was planning to contribute. And therefore, these shekels were included, and the townspeople don't have to pay again. Well, that goes well according to Madamar, who says Tormin ala Gavoy, that we separate the Trumas Halishka for that which was already collected, Vala Asud Ligabos, as well as that which was going to be collected in the future. Bram, Madamar ain't Tormin lo ala Giboy v'lo ala Asud Ligabos, but according to Madamar, who says that we don't also include so meaning the ones that were collected already but haven't yet reached to Jerusalem, meaning the ones that are in Jerusalem, obviously, right, we're including those people whose shekels are in Jerusalem and we're separating them. But what if the shekels were already collected but didn't yet reach Jerusalem? Or what if they weren't yet even collected but they're going to be collected? So according to Mandamar, who says that when we do the Trumas Halishka, it includes all of those. So then great. If they got lost, so they already collected, and then they did the Trumas Halishka, and then they got lost, so then Beseder, they were included in this Trumas Halishka anyways. But according to Manda Amr, who says that when they do the Trumas Halishka, they don't have in mind any coins that didn't yet arrive, right? The Trumas Halishka only includes the coins that have already been collected and are in Jerusalem. So then, even if the coins got lost or stolen after the Trumas Halishka, still the townspeople would have to bring new coins, right? Lo bida, right? Then the Mishnah would not be talking about that. I.e., they would have to separate new coins, even if they got lost or stolen after the Trumas Halishka was separated. So says the Mishnah that the people of the city who so the Mishnah says that right. No. So if you have this messenger and the coins get lost or stolen, so the messenger, what does he do? He swears, right? If they got lost or stolen after the Trumas Halishka, so then he swears to the treasurers. If they got stolen or lost before the Trumas Halishka, then he swears to the townspeople. But either way, he's like swearing to kind of get himself off the line, so he's not responsible. So the question is, how could he simply swear in order to get off the hook? Because at the end of the day, these were coins that were donated to the Beis Hamikdash, which means that they're hektish. And if they're hektish, we don't swear about things that are hektish. So if we don't swear about things that are hektish, then why is this messenger fellow swearing? So Amr Reb Elazar to Reb Shimon. So Reb Elazar answers, well, it's Reb Shimon. Okay, who's Reb Shimon? To Reb Shimon Omer, Kodshim Shu Chai B'Achvar Yuson K'Nechasav Hein. That if you have Kodshim, but, right, so Kodshim Shu Chai B'Achvar Yuson, what's Kodshim, what does Chai B'Achvar Yuson mean? It means that you're responsible for their, you take responsibility for them. So basically, for example, if you say that, I'm going to bring a korban, right? If you say, I'm going to bring a korban, and now, right, so even if the korban that you're going to bring dies, so then you still have to bring a different one, because you said you're going to bring a korban. So even if this one dies, you bring a different one, as opposed to if you said, I'm going to bring this animal as a korban, if it dies, then you don't have to, it's dead, you don't have to bring it as a korban, and you don't have to make a replacement. So similarly over here, you have this money, and we're saying that if something happens to this money, so then you're going to have to replace it. So this is an example of Kodshim Shechai B'Achvar Yuson, right? It's something that you set aside for the Beis Hamikdash, and you're responsible for it if something happens to it. And Reb Shimon says, Kodshim Shu Chai B'Achvar Yuson K'Nechasav Hein. We treat them as his property. And therefore, since we treat them as his property, so therefore, just like you would swear about your property, you'll swear about these Kodshim as well. That's why the messenger is going to swear to the people that these coins really got lost, right? To the townspeople in the event that the coins got lost before the Trumas Halishka, so that he swears to the townspeople that it was stolen or lost, and then he's potter, he gets off the hook, just like because it's Kodshim Shechai B'Achvar Yuson and it's K'Nechasav, or in this case like theirs, and he could swear to them about it. Fine. Amr Reb Yechanan says, Reb Yechanan, Divrei Akoli, it's not just Reb Shimon, it's according to everybody, because Mishum Shvuas Takana, that it's a Shvuah Midor Rabbanon, that the rabbis, even though yes, Midor Oraisa Meikar Adin, we don't swear about Kodshim, about Hektish. However, the Chacham say that we do because we don't want you to take it lightly. So therefore, the reason why you're swearing, why the messenger swears, is to make sure that it's Midor Rabbanon, in the interest of making sure that people take these, take Hektish and Kodshim seriously. Alda de Rabbi Yochanan Nicha. So the Gemara says, I understand Rabbi Yochanan's opinion that the messenger is swearing Midor Rabbanon. Nishbarim legizbarim, v'imlav nishbarim levnei ha'ir, uvnei ha'ir shokim acherim, tachtei, mishum shvuos takana. I get Rabbi Yochanan. If the coins got lost after the Trumas Halishka, so then they swear to the treasurers. If the coins got lost before the Trumas Halishka, so then they swear to the townspeople. And that's all Midor Rabbanon. The rabbi said to swear, so you swear. So, El Reb Elazar, nishbarim levnei ha'ir, hadai du Reb Shimon. So the Gemara says, okay, but however, according to Reb Elazar, who says that the reason why you're going to swear is because it's Reb Shimon, who says that Kodshim that Chai B'Achvar Yuson are like yours, and therefore you're going to swear, just like you would swear about yours, you swear about these. So, however, that makes sense according to, right, in the case where the coins got lost or stolen before the Trumas Halishka. So in that case, it wasn't yet the property of the Beis Hamikdash. It still belonged to the townspeople, and the townspeople are Chai B'Achvar Yuson, and therefore it's Nechasim Shum Chai B'Achvar Yuson. It's like theirs, and he has to swear to them that that this is in fact what happened. However, Nishbarim legizbarim, gizbarim ma'avid tayu. However, in the case where the shekels got lost or stolen after the Trumas Halishka, where they have to swear to the gizbarim, the coins didn't belong to the treasurers, so why is he swearing to them about? What's there to swear about? So the Gemara answers, Nishbarim b'vnei ha'ir b'maimud gizbarim. So the Gemara answers, no, you're not actually swearing to the treasurers, you're swearing to the townspeople in front of the treasurers that this is in fact what happened, so that he will still be able to at least collect his fee, right? If we're talking about a shomer sacher, that they're paying him for his time, so we said that as long as it was an onus, he's not going to be responsible for it, and he still wants to collect his fee. So he's swearing in front of the treasurers to the townspeople that this is in fact what happened, so that he could collect his fee. Now, why do the treasurers have to be there? That they shouldn't suspect that he, stole it himself. and so therefore, they're present when he swears, so that they know that they can trust him because he's swearing after all. So that they shouldn't think that he was negligent. And then the Gemara says, going back to Rabbi Yochanan's statement, which is that midrabanan, you swear about these Sheqalim, even if the townspeople say it's okay, don't worry about it, we'll take care of it, you don't have to swear to us, you still have to swear, because the point is that midrabanan, you still have to swear to make the point on principle that you have to take hektish seriously. What happens if a fellow sets aside his shekel and then it gets lost before he made it to Jerusalem? So Rabbi Yochanan says, well, you're chayiv to set aside a different one until it gets to the treasury. Whereas Rish Lakish says, no, hektish, something that you set aside for the Beis HaMikdash, belongs to the Eibishter wherever it is. And therefore, once you set it aside, if something happens to it, you're not responsible. Masnisa pliga Reb Shimon ben Lakish, to which the Gemara says, but our Mishnah is a problem for Rish Lakish, because it says, Nishbarin l'vnei Yair shoklin tachtei. So our Mishnah says, what do you mean? If the coins get lost before the Trumas Halishka happens, so then the messenger swears to the people in the city, and then they have to set new ones. According to Rish Lakish, I thought he said that once it's set aside, you don't have to, set new ones if they get lost. So the Gemara answers, Lo od mishum shvuas takana, that Rish Lakish would say, yeah, that's also because of the derabanan, right, the shvua derabanan that came after that. But midoraisa, once you set something aside, it's for the Eibishter, and you're not chayiv if something happens to it. Where are we? I think I was about to skip something. Yeah. Tanya Rishonim noflim l'taklin chadatim v'ashniim noflim l'taklin atikin. So in the case where so we had said in the Mishnah that where are we talking nimsu exactly? We said that in the Mishnah that if the coins then get found later, so then you don't get credit for next year. Rather, both of them are treated like shekels. So we say, Arishonim noflim l'taklin chadatin, v'ashnim noflim l'taklin atikin. So the first ones are treated like taklin chadatin, right? And they're used for the Trumas Halishka. The second ones are considered taklin atikin. And, I don't know if I said this earlier, but the taklin atikin are used for, they'd be used for just like regular communal kind of things, like to repair the walls of Jerusalem and Yanim like these. So Elu en Arishonim, Ve'elu en Ashnim. Now, which one are considered the first ones and which ones are considered the second ones? So it's Taka Machlokas. Reb Pinchas Bey Reb Chia, Reb Abba Mari Chad Omer Elu Sheshalchu B'nei Ir Tchila V'charna Omer Elu She'egiu L'Yidei Gizbar and Tchila. So one opinion is that the first ones are considered the first ones that got separated, that were separated and then got lost. So those and then found. So those are the ones that would go to the Takan Chadatin. And the other opinion is that no, the ones that get to the treasury first go to the Takan Chadatin, and the ones that get their second go to the Takan Chaditin, even though they're Chadatin, the Atikin, the ones that get their second go to the old ones, even though they were separated first. Alright, well, that was Halacha Aleph of Perek Beis of Masechta Sheqalim. Okay, Halacha Beis, new Mishnah, Noisin Shikle lechaver lishkol al yodo v'shikle de atzma im nisma chuma ma al hashok, period. What do you guys think that means? It means the following. So if Reuven gives Shimon a shekel, and he says, Shimon, do me a favor, bring the shekel to the Beis HaMikdash, it's going to be my machzis a shekel. V'shikla yado, no, good for nothing. Shimon uses it for himself. Okay. So if the Trumas Halishka has already been separated, right? All the Sheqalim have already been taken out of the office to be used for the communal sacrifices. So then, at that point, he is going to be has a din me'ilah, because as we said earlier, that when they do the Trumas Halishka, it's not only for the people who already donated the coins; it's even for the people who are going to donate the coins, right? And therefore this coin that Reuven gave Shimon was already really belonging to the Beis Hamikdash, since the Truma Salishka already happened. So when Shimon uses it for himself, he's basically getting benefit from the Truma Salishka, from something that belonged to the Beis Hamikdash. He was getting benefit for himself. Hashokel shiklo me'al what min hahekdish v'nitruma hatruma v'ker v'abhema ma'al. Okay, so if a fellow so he had money that was set aside for hekdish, he was going to donate it to the Beis Hamikdash, and instead he then, or for whatever, somehow he ended up using it for his shekel. So right, so Shokel Shiklo min hekdish v'nitruma truma v'karva behema, and then they already did the truma salishka. Right, so they took the money from the office, and then they used that money to buy an animal. Right now, when the Beis Hamikdash, they would take the money, they would buy an animal. So now that money now belongs to whoever they purchased it from. So when they spend the money to buy the animal, v'kerva behema, and the animal has been offered, so then Mo'al. At that point, this fellow was Mo'al, right? So he basically had money that he set aside for the Beis Hamikdash, it's hektish, and then he used it for a shekel. If that money then gets given to some person to buy an animal, so that money now becomes chulin. So now you basically have hektish that became chulin, and then this guy who donated it is going to be over on Me'ilah. What if you have Meiser Sheni money, right? Of course, a fellow, he separates the Truma and then the Meiser Rishon, now he separates the Meiser Sheni from his field, he's got to schlep it to Jerusalem, right? So if it's too much stuff, so you could transfer the value onto money. Now, if that money, you use from that money as for your shekel, for your machzas shekel, or from Dmei Shvius. I don't really understand so much what Dmei Shvius is, but basically, if you do business, I guess that's what it is. I mean, you're not allowed to do business with produce of Shemitah, but if you do business with produce of Shemitah, so then I guess that money takes on the value of the Shemitah. So if you use that for your shekel, so Yochal Kenegdon, what you have to do is you have to eat its value, and the Gemara is going to explain what that means. It says the Gemara, Shokel Chule, Anataninan im Kerva Behema. So in our Mishnah, we said that in the case where you have Reuven, and Reuven had set aside money to be hektish, and then he used that hektish money to be his shekel. So in that case, if the money was used to buy an animal, and then the animal was also slaughtered, right? It was also offered. So at that point, Reuven is going to be over on Me'ilah. The question is, why? So the reason is that the way that the Beis HaMikdash would negotiate a deal with suppliers is that they would pay the supplier, but the money only belonged to the supplier once the animal was offered, so that if something were to happen to the animal, it would get like a blemish or something like that, they hadn't yet purchased it. And therefore, it would still belong to the owner, and the owner would incur the loss, not the Beis HaMikdash. So that is why the Mishnah says that only once the animal has been successfully offered, not just that the money was transferred to the supplier, but that the animal was successfully offered, at that point the money belongs to the supplier, i.e. it becomes chulin, and the fellow who gave the hektish money for the shekel is violating Me'ilah. So Anantaninon im kerva abehema v'tani dvei Rebbe im nitruma truma. However, in the Beis Medrash of Rebbe, they taught that no, it's already once already the money was collected to buy the animals, even if it wasn't yet actually offered. So the Gemara says, Mantana im nitruma atruma. So who is the Tana who says, like they taught in the Beis Medrash of Rebbe, that even once the truma was separated, already is going to be over on Me'ilah? It's Reb Shimon. The Amr Reb Shimon miyad oy makab ma'osa b'akwanim season haim, because Reb Shimon's opinion is that actually the supplier would immediately get ownership of the money. And what about the fact that the animals might get a blemish or something? The Kohanim are careful, and they make sure that everything is going to stay good. So therefore, immediately once the money's been used to purchase animals, the Reuben is going to be over on Me'ilah. Me'ilah, of course, being getting benefit from property of the Beis Hamikdash of Hektish. where are we? Reb Shimon, the Amr, I think we read this already. The Amr Reb Shimon miyad oy makabel ma'osav akvadim zuzanin. Yeah, we read that. The kasha, and now we have a question, right? We said that if Ruvain gave his money, his machzus a shekel to Shimon, and then Shimon used it for himself, so Shimon is over on me'ilah. The question is why? Ilu agone v'olaso shel chaveru v'shachato stam stam l'shem bailam arishonim mechaperes. If Ruvain, right, if this wasn't shekels, what if Shimon, right? Well, Reuven had set aside korban to be an ola. Shimon then chopped it and slaughtered it. So mistama, it's still gonna work for Reuven as Reuven's ola. So why don't we say the same thing here as well? That when Reuven gave Shimon a shekel to donate, and Shimon donated it for himself, shouldn't it be just like the ola, and it should work for Reuven rather than for Shimon? So why do we say that Shimon is mo'el? So Amr Yudin Tiftor b'Mesuyam Michel Beis Rabbi Gamliel Shemiskabim V'Dochvo L'Soch Akupa. So the Gemara answers, well, it's talking about where where Shimon put it in the pile in a way that he knew that it was going to be clear that it was his, similar to the way they would do it by Rabbi Gamliel. Basically, by Rabbi Gamliel, they wanted to be sure that their machzos shekels were going to be included in the trumas alishka, in the money that was going to be used to buy korbanos. They didn't want it to be in the shiari alishka. They didn't want it to be from the funds that get left in this lishka, in this office. So what they would do is, when on the day that they were collecting the that they were doing the trumas alishka, taking the Sheqalim from the office, they would go in and they would flip the coin right in front of where the coin was, and the coin would see it and make sure to scoop from the part where the coin of Rabbi Gamliel was. So Rabbi Gamliel, his coin was identifiable. So here also, talking about a situation where Shimon donated Reuven's coin in such a way that it was identifiable as being his. And that is why we're going to say that, right, that in this case it's small, because he made it clear that it's going to be his coin. Okay, right. So again, so b'Mesuyam, it's when he donated it and put it on the pile in such a way that it was clear, right? Michel Beis Rabbi Gamliel, like by Rabbi Gamliel Shaya Miskaven V'Dochvo L'Soch Akupa, that they would intentionally put the coin in the pile. V'chash Lomar Shema L'Shiraim Ein Noflin. Then the Gemara says, wait, but what? How does this fellow know for sure that his coin isn't going to end up being from the leftovers, isn't going to end up being shiraim? How do we know that he's dafka mo'il? So the Gemara says the same thing. Oh, I'm sorry. Well, we're not there yet. It's still building up its question. Right? There wouldn't be me'ila if it was shiraim. The only person who says that it would be me'ila is Reb Meir, but that's a das yachid. We don't pass like a das yachid. So what if the coin ends up being left over? So the Gemara answers, Odi b'Mesuyam shel beis Rabbi Gamliel shel miskaven v'torma l'shmo. Right, that again, it's like in the same way of like Rabbi Gamliel, that he would specifically make sure that it wasn't going to be the leftovers, but that in fact it was going to be donated. Manene, the question is, what benefit, right? In order for Shimon to be over on Me'ilah for donating Reuven's shekel, so he has to get some kind of benefit. What's the benefit that he's getting? Rab Oven b'shem Rabbanon Ditamon. So Rab Oven says in the name of the rabbis from Eretz Yisrael. No, we're in Eretz Yisrael now. This is Talmud Yerushalmi. So in this case, it's Taka from Bavel. Well, since we know that Bezdin can take collateral from somebody who didn't pay his shekel bill, and therefore his shekel tax, and therefore Shimon, by paying Reuven's shekel as his, so he now is not going to be, nobody's going to come after him to take a collateral from him. So that's the benefit that he gets. And that's why he's over on Me'ilah. So he said that if he uses the Meiser Sheni money, so then he's got to buy food with it. So the Chsiv, as the pasuk says, Ach b'chor asher yivuka l'Hashem b'behema lo yakdish ish oso. Okay, right. So he said that any b'chor that will be a b'chor to Hashem, so you don't be makdish it. So what does that mean? So koshu kodesh in kedusha chala olav, that if you have something that's already holy, so then other holiness doesn't fall on it, and therefore if you have this coin that's Meiser Sheni, it's not going to become the machzis shekel. Okay, Keitzedu Oses. So how do you end up eating this money if you had Meiser Sheni money, you then used it for machzis shekel. Now we're saying you have to eat its value. How does this work? So maybe Sela Shal Chulin, so you take a coin of Chulin, V'omer, and he says, Mos Shal Meiser Sheni, the Meiser Sheni money, B'chomakum Shehein, wherever they are now in this Gizbar, or wherever it is, Yehu, what we call the, whatever, this like office, the Lishka, B'chomakum Shehu, wherever it is, Yumuchulalin Asel Azo is going to be, its values, its holiness is going to be transferred onto this coin that I have here, and then now this coin becomes the Meiser Sheni, and that other coin becomes the shekel coin. Well, that was Daf Hey, Masechta Sheqalim. Gosh, I don't know. We got into Perek Beis of Masechta Sheqalim, and we talked more about Sheqalim stuff. Sorry, I haven't really been doing proper recaps and stuff. Maybe I'll have a good Shabbos.